Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is arguably the ultimate test of human psychology and survival. I want you to picture a scenario right now. You're standing completely isolated in a primitive, ancient wilderness. You are entirely alone, and the stakes? Well, they could not possibly be higher.
Imagine instinctively reaching into your pocket. Nothing. There is absolutely no phone to call for a rescue. And there's no GPS either. No blue dots on a screen, no roads mapped out, no convenient signs pointing the way to safety, and definitely no satellites beaming down your exact coordinates. You are completely, 100% cut off.
There is only endless forest stretching out in literally every single direction. It's a deadly reality, right? In this specific environment, one wrong decision, just one impulsive turn, could very literally mean death. But here's the crazy part. Ancient humans found themselves in situations exactly like this all the time, yet somehow they survived. So you've got to wonder, how? If they had no maps, no compasses, no technology whatsoever, how did they ever find their way home? It wasn't because they had some kind of magic instinct, and they certainly didn't just get lucky. They survived because their brains evolved an unbelievably sophisticated navigation system. And honestly, once you understand how they actually found their way, you'll never look at getting lost the same way again.
Section 1. The ultimate survival threat.
Look, leaving the tribe changed everything in an instant. You were immediately severed from the collective knowledge and safety of the group. Think about it. No shared food to rely on, no fire, no shared shelter, no protection. The threat of predators skyrocketed the very second you were alone. Starvation and dehydration weren't just vague possibilities. They were the probable outcomes. Being separated from your group almost always meant death. And because of this intense life-or-death pressure, human evolution was basically forced to make our brains hypersensitive to location.
Our ancestors' brains learned to constantly build these incredible invisible mental maps. Every single tree, every bend in a river, every weird rock formation or rolling hill, it all became a critical piece of this vast navigation network. Long before a single physical map was ever drawn on parchment, the map already existed right there inside the human brain.
Section 2. Thinking before walking. You know how in the movies someone gets lost and immediately starts running and panicking through the woods? Yeah, reality is very different. Real ancient humans rarely did that. Random panicked movement just wastes vital survival energy. Their very first survival strategy wasn't walking at all. It was a deliberate mental pause. It was stopping and thinking.
Modern psychology actually has a name for what they were trying to avoid. It's called cognitive overload. Basically, when panic takes over, the brain gets totally flooded and starts making terrible, impulsive decisions. Ancient humans understood this deeply through brutal lived experience. They knew they had to prioritize a calm mind to avoid slipping into this highly dangerous mental state.
It boils down to this. A calm mind notices details, while a frightened mind completely misses them. Instead of rushing off in some random direction, they deliberately calmed themselves down to observe. They listened. They smelled. They remembered. What direction was the sun earlier today? Where exactly is that wind coming from? Did the ground we just walked on slope uphill or downhill? When survival is literally on the line, every single one of those clues matters.
Section 3. Your biological GPS system.
So what's actually happening inside the brain here? Well, they obviously didn't use Google Maps, but nature provided them with something just as remarkable: the hippocampus. This specific region of your brain acts as a built-in internal navigation system. As you travel around, special neurons, which scientists call place cells and grid cells, are continuously recording your location. And this biological GPS? It still exists inside your brain right now, constantly firing and recording as you move through your day.
But here's the stark contrast between us and our ancestors. Ancient humans were training this biological GPS every single day. Kids learned complex routes by walking them over and over, hunters memorized massive territories, and gatherers kept thousands of specific landmarks locked in their heads. Navigation was just daily life. Modern humans, though, we outsource almost all of this to our smartphones. We rarely ever challenge this natural ability anymore. And the great irony is, the more we rely on digital GPS, the less we strengthen this incredible natural network sitting right inside our own heads.
Section 4.
following nature's hidden patterns.
So how did they actually read the wild? They understood the environment's inherent logic. They knew rivers tend to bend after large cliffs. They noticed birds naturally gathering near water sources. They knew certain plants only thrive in specific damp soils, that moss pops up more in shaded spots, and that animal trails, they almost always lead to a destination. To an untrained modern eye, a forest is just a big wall of green. But to them, the environment wasn't random chaos. It was a highly structured map packed with life-saving clues. The crucial thing to understand is that instead of asking, which way is north, an ancient human would look at the terrain and ask, what usually happens here? This kind of advanced pattern recognition became one of humanity's absolute greatest survival advantages. The better you were at noticing the patterns, the better your chances of surviving. Section 5. The Psychology of Panic. Honestly, the biggest danger wasn't the forest itself. It was fear. When a human panics, their world shrinks. Attention severely narrows. Your working memory weakens rapidly. Decision-making becomes totally impulsive, and incredibly useful information right in front of you is just completely ignored. People literally begin to walk faster and think less. And you know what? This psychological response still exists in us today, making navigation nearly impossible when we let fear take the wheel. They survived because they learned to master that panic.
Section 6. Finding your path.
So here's a sort of ancestral framework you can use right now. The next time you lose your phone signal or take a wrong turn, or honestly just feel overwhelmed and lost in your daily life, remember the people who crossed entire continents without a single piece of technology. Step 1, stop. Do not let fear make you run faster. Step 2, look around. Observe the patterns you've been ignoring. Step 3, trust what you know, your own internal compass. And step 4, only then take the next deliberate step. The big takeaway from all of this is that slowing down and noticing all those patterns that modern life constantly trains us to ignore is the true key to clarity. Sometimes the fastest way to actually find your path is to simply stop searching blindly. I'm going to leave you with a final provocative thought to chew on. Knowing what you know now about cognitive overload, pattern recognition, and that amazing biological GPS sitting completely unused in your brain, if you were dropped into the wilderness today with absolutely no technology, how long do you honestly think you would survive? Would you panic, or would you stop and think? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning what you think you know about your own brain.